Dead Outlaw is a new musical with songs written by Eric Della Penna and me, David Yazbek.
It is a story about a very unsuccessful outlaw in the waning days of the Old West who attempted a few robberies, failed at them, and died. Then his body was, through a series of almost mishaps, mummified and ended up being used as a sideshow attraction for 60 years, for twice as long as he was alive.
You have a story about everything going wrong for somebody, and then everything's sort of going right, but in a really twisted way in their afterlife.
And the coroner had this mystery on his hands. Who was this? It turns out it was a criminal from turn of the century, a guy named Elmer McCurdy.
I play Elmer McCurdy, who is the dead outlaw. He sort of becomes more successful in his afterlife than he ever was while he was alive.
This is an incredible true story.
Someone told it to him, and he was fascinated with it, and he read books on it, and he watched...
Many years ago.
Many years ago. And then he told me about it, and I thought about it, and then he said, hey, we should write this thing.
Yazbek and Eric are my two closest, longest friends. And I have collaborated with them on music for 25, 30 years, both together and independently. The fact that we could work on this brand new thing that they were making, it was a dream.
I'm Julia Nightel. I play Maggie Johnson and others. I'm the only woman in the show, so I play all the women who come into Elmer's orbit. And the other character I play is Millicent, who's an 8-year-old girl.
I play one of the Johnson brothers who were carnies. And they were the first ones to use Elmer's body as an attraction.
And I'm also a carny. He loses the body to me in a card game, and I take the body and then display it in my wax museum.
I'm just excited for people who don't know the story. I'm excited for people to just come in kind of fairly cold. The way in which they have laid out how the information is received is, I think, tense and thrilling and hilarious and shocking and surprising.
I've been doing this long enough to sort of notice a pattern in the kinds of ideas that tend to attract me. I tend to really like, and I guess Yazbek is this way too, stories that have some impossible element that seems to make doing it as a show a bad idea, that you then figure out why it's a good idea. And in this case, it's the fact that the protagonist dies halfway through.
I think it's exciting to propose musical theater that doesn't lie. There's something about, I heard someone saying documentary musical theater, which is like a hilarious term, and also a challenging prospect. There's like a realness to this team that I admire so much, and it makes you want to look for a language that's true.
To remember that it's true is so important, and we even remind them throughout the show periodically because it is so unbelievable, the things that are happening in front of you, and we tell them in a really naturalistic, realistic, grounded way.
The fact that we get to not only tell this in physical form, but that it's being recorded for Audible means that there's a focus on the sounds that you hear and the worlds that we are building.
It's going to be a very exciting auditory experience because we're sort of telling it through the concept that it could also be a radio play.
It is an interesting thing because theater is usually finite. It has an end date at some point, and this does, the live version of this does have an end date, but this different version, the Audible version of it, is going to be around forever, and it's really exciting.
Rock out to one of the most amazing scores ever written for a musical. It's fun, it's moving, it's totally unexpected, it's quirky, like the story itself.
Well, it's Cromer, and it's Moses, and it's Yazbek, and it's a great time. I mean, they're funny people, they're intelligent people, so we're being led by a crackerjack team, and it's just great to sit back and watch them guide us to something that's actually quite special, I think.